The UFC's last pay-per-view of 2024 is here. The reigning, defending, undisputed UFC flyweight champion Alejandro Pantoja is defending his title for the third time in the last year and a half against Kai Asakura, the former two-time bantamweight Rizin champion. He made waves over in Japan, was one of the most talented strikers, known for his knee strikes. It's just unbelievable. Although this card doesn't have the Hall of Famers at the top of the bill like 309 did, this card is stacked from top to bottom with champions, as I mentioned, with Pantoja, but also former champions at the bottom leading up to the main card with contenders along the way. But I wanted to start from the bottom and work my way up and highlight a couple fights on the prelims, because the early prelims that start at 6 o'clock have a couple fights that you need to keep your eye out for. Michael Chiesa is coming off of a win. He is the favorite in this fight against Max Griffin. He is minus 130. Max Griffin's plus 110 on DraftKings Sportsbook. And Michael Chiesa is on a one-fight winning streak at this point. He's looked good lately. He beat Tony Ferguson by submission a couple months ago. It was a matchup between two veterans. And now he's facing Max Griffin, another veteran. He's 20-10. I'm going to go with Michael Chiesa in this fight. I think his grappling and on the ground is so elite, and I think he has a chance to maybe even submit Max Griffin like he did Tony Ferguson. But moving up the card, the next fight I wanted to highlight is the featured bout of the early prelims, and that's a fight that was supposed to take place, the UFC 309. It's the All-American Chris Weidman, is the former middleweight champion of the world. Is taking on Eric Anders. Anders had food poisoning, was unable to compete at UFC 309 a couple weeks back. Now they do it at 195-pound catchweight bout. They both weighed in successfully, and now Chris Weidman will look to win his second straight fight for the first time in over 3 years since he had a gruesome injury a couple years ago. He bounced back with a big win a couple months ago in New Jersey, his home territory. And when he beat Bruno Silva, there was some question marks about eye poking, and even he admitted that there was some excessive eye poking. But Weidman did have an impressive showing, looked a lot better, more active than he has. He hasn't won two straight fights since 2015 when he had his second title win against Vitor Belfort. So a lot on the line for Chris Weidman. He is 40 years old, but if Chris Weidman can attach two wins here moving forward, there can be another big fight in the future for Weidman. But moving on, it's Randy Brown taking on Brian Battle. Brian Battle weighed in 4 pounds over the 171 welterweight limit. He was the first of two fighters that weighed in over the limit. Anthony Smith, Lionheart, also weighed in 1.5 pounds over the light heavyweight limit. But good news for Lionheart, he did successfully make 205.5 later on. Brian Battle was really drained. He did not continue to cut weight after he failed to make weight the first time. He's still the minus 185 favorite. Randy Brown's the plus 154 underdog here, but this was a matchup I was really excited for, because you have two guys in Randy Brown who's won 3 straight. You got Brian Battle, who has won 4 straight, and this is a matchup between two exciting guys on the rise in the welterweight division, and it's a shame that Battle failed to miss weight because he has looked so good lately. He had a big win over Kevin Josette at UFC Paris just a couple months ago. He played that heel role perfectly. So I was really expecting a big victory for him. But now that he missed weight, I'm going to go with Randy Brown here. It's a little bit of an upset, plus 154, but Battle, we don't know where his mental side's at, why he missed weight in particular, but since he hasn't been able to make that weight and he looked drained, so I'm going to go with the underdog in this one with Randy Brown. But moving on up the prelims, it's Movsar Evloev versus Aljamain Sterling. This is one of the fights I'm looking forward to the most on this entire card, and that is because Evloev is 18-0. He's ranked 5th in the world. Aljamain Sterling, the former bantamweight champion, is ranked 9th in the world, and I really think this stylistically is an incredible matchup between two fantastic grapplers on the ground, and Aljo has the edge on the feet to me. He's shown that he can stand and bang a little bit. He's not known for that, obviously, but I think he has the edge there. I think Evloev is a little bit better on the ground, but Aljo has been shown that he doesn't get taken down super easily when it's attempted. So I really think that this could be one of the best, if not the best fights on this entire card. It is that darn good. Aljamain Sterling is plus 190. Evloev is minus 230 in this fight. This is one of my favorite picks of the entire night. I think Aljo is getting doubted. He's on the prelims. He matches up really well with Evloev. They both stand at 5'7". He has the more experience in big fights. I think Aljamain Sterling, the Funk Master, is going to win once again, and I think he's going to continue his climb to a featherweight title. He beat Calvin Kattar a couple months ago in his featherweight debut, looked fantastic, and I really think he's still hungry, still just as hungry as he was when he was trying to win his first championship. I haven't loved what I've seen from Evloev. He's just comes out really slow in a lot of fights, not as active. I think he needs to be more aggressive early on in these contests to get the job done. But yeah, I think Aljo is that talented. Even though he's 35 years old, I still like what I've seen from him lately. He's lost a fight to Sean O'Malley, but since then bounced back in a big way. So I really like Aljo. I'm riding with him in that. Vicente Luque versus Themba Gorimba. I like Gorimba a lot. He is one of the most exciting prospects in the welterweight division. He's won 4 straight fights, had a unanimous decision victory over Nico Price a couple months ago. Both fighters are 33 years old. Vicente Luque has failed to establish his winning ways. He's coming off a loss to Joaquin Buckley. He's fought a lot of top 10 fighters, but he just hasn't got his hand raised recently, and he's lost 3 of his last 4 fights. So I'm going to go with Gorimba here. I think he's going to keep working his way up the welterweight ladder. But moving on to the final fight of the prelims, you have Anthony Smith, who, as I said, missed weight in this fight. Dominic Reyes is coming off of a credible knockout over Dustin Jacoby a couple months ago. Anthony Smith is coming off of a loss. He seems like he's nearing the end of his career. He's 36 years old. I think any fight now could be his last. He's been hinting at that and moving full-time in the broadcasting, where he's done a very well job. It's surprising to see him miss weight, but I think Dominic Reyes is just the better fighter. He's an incredible striker. He won his first fight since 2019 this year. I think he's going to make it 2 straight wins, and I think Dominic Reyes does have a big name. He does have that. He can hang his hat on that he was one of the closest to beating John Jones a couple years ago. And I think if he wins this fight, he is right there in the mix to get a title shot at 205 pounds in the near future. But moving on to the third fight that I'm looking forward to on this card, it is a rematch between Ciryl Gane, Alexander Volkov, 2 top 5 heavyweights. And the line did surprise me, although we did see Ciryl Gane win by unanimous decision when they fought a couple years ago. He's a minus 380 favorite. Volkov's plus 300 here. I like Gane also by knockout here. It's plus 350. His last 2 wins have come by knockout. He knocked out Sergey Spivak back in September. Hasn't been the most active fighter, but I think that's kind of the result of a weirder heavyweight division. And Volkov has won 4 straight. He has been excellent lately. He has been active. I just think that Gane's quick movements are going to be the difference. His elite striking, he picks his spots. He does so well, and I think that he is really just one of the best athletes in the entire UFC, let alone the heavyweight division, where he is still a top 3 to 5 guy at the worst. So I think he's going to come out a little more aggressive. I think he's going to win that fight. But the fight I'm looking forward to the most, and a lot of fans are as well, Shavkat Rakhmonov, Ian Machado Gary, the pride of Ireland and now Brazil, Shavkat Rakhmonov, Kazakhstan, and he is 18-0 with 18 finishes. Machado Gary is 15-0 with 7 finishes. They combined for 33-0, one of the most combined wins between two fighters ever that we have seen. This is an incredible matchup between two of the best prospects in the sport. We have Gary ranked 7. We have Rakhmonov, who has climbed the rankings. He's ranked 3rd. This is going to be the best fight of this card to me, without a doubt. I know this might sound crazy, but I feel like since Gary made his debut over 4 years ago, it has all been building to this moment where Gary can fight another top contender across the octagon and find a way to get the job done. Gary has that special aura about him. He has that special star-making ability about him, and I really think that this is his moment. This is the moment where Ian Gary elevates himself to superstardom. Shavkat Rakhmonov is an incredible fighter, but I just don't, I'm not, although I think he's unbelievable and he's finished every opponent, he did fight a 40-plus-year-old in Stephen Wonderboy Thompson in his last fight, which I'm not knocking. He hasn't fought since December. Gary's been a little bit more active, and I do respect both guys for not only taking this fight because it's not for a title, it's not for an interim title, it's for a #1 contendership, but also it's a 5-round fight. Ian Gary was supposed to fight Joaquin Buckley next week, comes into this fight, raises his hand against his former teammate in Rakhmonov. I think the winner of this fight is going to win the championship in early 2025 and beat Belal Muhammad. I really do. I think the winner of this is going to be that next champion, and I think either guy has a shot. I had this marked at close to 50-50 fight. I know Shavkat has more fights, has more finishes, but Gary as a plus 300 underdog is too big, is too steep. The odds are too big there. I got Ian Gary plus 300 money line to win this fight. I really like that a lot. And the main event, it's Pantoja versus Asakura. Pantoja is plus 270. Asakura plus 220. The debutant in the UFC, the former Rising champion. Pantoja has shown that he's continued to refine his skills on the ground, on the feet. He's a really good finisher as well. Pantoja has 25 wins, but he also has 18 finishes, 10 submissions. He hasn't had submission in his last 3 fights, but he had 2 in a row against Royval and Perez, and I think he could finish Asakura, who isn't the best on the ground. He's known for his stand-up, and yeah, I really favor Pantoja. I really feel like he's coming into his own. He's figured out many different styles, and I think that'll be the difference. Pantoja's experience on the high level and being at the top of the bill of big UFC cards. I got Pantoja to win this fight outright. I think a finish could be possible. I'm not banking on it, though. But overall, UFC 310 is taking place tonight, and this card is unbelievable.